Every e-commerce store I take on looks the same right before we start. There's wrong keywords, wrong bidding, wrong campaign structure. There's money going in and there's no money coming back out, meaning there's a very little ROAS, and the owner usually has no idea why. After managing over $5 million in ad spend across dozens of e-commerce brands, I've seen every mistake in the book, and I've built an exact system and this tutorial you're watching right now to show you how to fix it. So today I'm going to show you the step-by-step process I use to set up Google Ads for e-commerce stores from scratch. It's the same system I use to get this brand right over here from $0 to $30,000 per month in monthly recurring revenue, and then this huge 9-figure furniture e-commerce store to add an extra $70,000 per month in revenue. And the best part is you don't have to be as big as these brands. You could be as small as running $3,000 to $4,000 per month on Google Ads. This tutorial will work for you no matter what. So let's get into it. So if you're watching this video, you probably already know the basics of Google Ads, or you at least get the premise of as to why e-commerce brands run Google Ads and as to why they are so successful. So number one, I want to preface a couple things. Google Ads is very different from Meta Ads. You run it very differently and it is run for different purposes. Number one is that Google captures buyers at the moment of the intent, as opposed to Meta, where you're interrupting them and creating that demand generation. Meta is where you show different advertising and creative angles, and then from there you can go in and generate that demand, as opposed to Google, somebody is already looking for your product, meaning you don't have to generate that demand. You just have to make sure that your campaigns and the tools that Google provides to you is good enough so that way your landing page can do the converting for you. As opposed to Meta, you have to go and try a bunch of creatives, you have to try different perspectives, so on and so forth. No shade to Meta, but Google is where it's at when it comes to that easy demand generation. And then I'm just going to be honest with you as well, is a quick reality check. This only works, or Google Ads only works, whenever you have the right amount of search demand. And I'll go further within the video on how you can verify that and make sure that the products that you're selling or the products that are within your store have search demand, or even if it's worth it to run Google Ads at all. The first thing you're going to do is go into your Google Ads account and set over here on goals and then click on summary. Now, whenever you are on here, you're going to want to make sure that first and foremost, your conversion tracking is set up before you even spend a penny on Google Ads. So what does that mean? You're going to want to make sure you have 2 conversion actions set up. Your primary conversion, which is a purchase, and then another primary conversion, a secondary conversion that is also a purchase, but this secondary conversion is set up either through Google Tag Manager or within Google Analytics 4. Now you're probably going to wonder, why do I have 2 conversion actions for the same thing? Isn't that going to duplicate conversions? No, you're going to want to make sure that your main conversion is set up through your POS. So POS meaning Shopify, WooCommerce, or BigCommerce. Make sure that they're directly integrated. Most of the time they have a easy integration set up into your Google Ads account. It's just probably more than likely a click of a button. If you want to go even a step further, go within Google Tag Manager and set it up there, but I don't recommend that unless you're spending a crazy amount on ads and want to make sure that everything is being tracked to the most accurate degree. But the native integration should work fine. Now, the second Google Analytics conversion action is just to make sure that side by side they are tracking correctly and that they are not tracking incorrectly, or that something has gone awry. You're going to know that when you start running these ads and you see that your conversion value is different from the conversion value in the Google Analytics 4, that something's going wrong. Typically, you want around like a 10 to 20% variance within those 2 conversion actions. Now, the second thing is you're going to want to make sure that your primary is the main conversion action of purchase, and that is the POS one, and then the secondary is always a Google Analytics one. So that way, your account is optimizing for this one right over here. So that is very important. Google Ads operates off of algorithmic data based on your conversion actions, and it takes different data from those purchasers on your website. So it's very important that you do this. Now, the second thing that you're going to want to make sure that you do is make sure that your Google Merchant Center Next is completely ready and completely optimized. So what does that mean exactly? Number one, you're going to probably want to go into your Shopify, your BigCommerce, WooCommerce, and like I said, they have a native integration to connect your product feed directly within your Google Merchant Center. So go ahead and do that. There's multiple videos online, and if not, I probably have a video that I'll link below on how to set that up. But make sure that this is completely set up and make sure that all your statuses say approved. this is going to be going directly into your products, and I'm sorry, within your Google Ads campaigns. And it is very imperative that you have this set up and that you have everything completely optimized. Now, I'm going to go into your Google Merchant Center product and how to make sure that it's completely optimized from the title, description, and all that really quick. And then we'll go into the campaign strategy and how you can really start setting up these really successful Google Ads campaigns. So over here, I have a document that's going to show you how you can properly optimize your Google Merchant Center feed. This is very simplified and very easily broken down for you to understand, but I will have a couple videos that I'll talk more in depth on how you can do this step by step. Number one, so if you have your product title, if you're running, for example, ads for a patio chair and it's brown, you don't want to put patio chair brown. You're going to want to break it down by what your brand is. You're going to want to break it down what the quality material it is. You're going to want to make sure it specifies what the use case is. Like over here, it's outdoor patio Adirondack chair, and then it's weather resistance. So you're going to want to talk about the benefits that it gives, and then other features like the color. It's a set of 2. If your product is very heavy, you're going to want to make sure you put the weight, or you can change the weight within the product. Make sure you include that as well. Typically, I would put the brand here or something like that towards the beginning or the end. It doesn't matter, but make sure those keywords are on the beginning of the title. This works because, of course, you're leading with the main search keywords that your user's thinking of. So Google knows, oh, I want to show up for that too. And there you go. You're spending proper ad dollars on keywords and search terms that your users are also searching up for. So your description, make sure that it is very optimized. Of course, what does optimized mean? Same goes for the title. You're going to want to make sure that it is specified on the use case, specified on the material, sizing, weight, how it can help the customer or your perfect audience. You're going to want to make sure that you mention what different styles and stuff that it shows for, if that is in a different product in your feed. And you're going to want to make sure that it speaks to your audience. You're marketing after all, so make sure it speaks to your audience properly. Now, this is the number one thing I wanted to talk about, and it was your Google product category. Now, if you have your Google product category, right, and you don't set it up in the Google Merchant Center next, Google is going to automatically set it up for you. Let's say you're selling outdoor chairs, just like this example, and then you don't put in outdoor chairs, or you don't put in outdoor furniture, because I don't think the taxonomy goes to outdoor chairs. But besides that, Google's going to say, oh, this is a chair. It's an indoor chair. It's just home and garden dining furniture. Real quick, if you want me and my team to handle all this for your store completely done for you, the link is in the description. We'll build the campaigns, set up tracking, optimize weekly, and send you clean reports showing exactly what's going on. And number one, making sure that you are getting profit in your pocket. You're going to be pretty pissed if you ever go on your Google Ads and you find out that you spent $100,000, $10,000 on outdoor chairs. On indoor chairs when you're selling outdoor chairs. So make sure that's set up within your Google Merchant Center next. And there will be a separate video on how you can do this step by step. I'll have it probably in the link, or I will release it later. So you have your additional feed attributes. If you have a Google GTIN, you're going to want to make sure that is set up. So a global trade identification number. This helps Google out so much, and it really shifts the needle. Of course, put in your brand, condition, color. You're going to want to make sure that if your product type can go as deep, the Google product category can go as deep as outdoor chairs, do that. Product type is different. Product type, you can set it up as whatever. So if this is an Adirondack chair that you're running, do Adirondack chair. And then put in the shipping weight, put in everything you can, because Google is going to use it to its power to show your ideal customers. Now that you have your Google Merchant Center next completely optimized and your products are ready to go, you're going to want to make sure that you are starting with the right strategy within your Google Ads interface. So here you are, you're creating your new campaign. What do I start with? Avoid Performance Max. Performance Max is completely not for you if you're just starting your Google Ads campaigns, or if you have Google Ads campaigns running and you don't have previous conversion data, ideally more than 30, 50 conversions per month. Even if you have that, PMax just works well with previous conversion data and just a lot of spend. If you're running 20, 30K per month, you have a lot of conversion data and you have a lot of well-created assets from Meta or something like that, then go ahead and think about it. But for the purposes of this video, you're going to want to start with standard shopping. If you're running standard shopping, make sure that you're running it within the top 10 to 20% of your products that you have within your feed. If you have 1,000 products and you want to stuff them all within standard shopping, you're going to burn money. You're going to want to make sure they're at least like maximum like 10, 20 products if you have 1,000+ products. Now, if you have 10, 20 products, make sure they're 1 to 3 products, and you're going to want to test with those leading off right from the bat. They're tested in another environment. They're selling a lot through Meta, through SEO, through whatever marketing means you have. Just make sure they're your best products with a lot of social proof, with a lot of algorithmic proof or data proof that they are just proven within a marketing environment or within just a general environment for your audience. If you don't do that and you just run it throughout everything, you're going to burn money because you don't want to be testing products right from the get-go. You want to get a lot of conversion data right from the start. So right here, you have your standard shopping. Now I'm going to show you what to do next. So a couple things to keep in mind whenever you're running your standard shopping campaign or setting it up. You're going to want to make sure that when you start, because you more than likely have no data, no conversion data, or it's just a brand new account overall, you're going to want to make sure that your bidding strategy either starts with a maximize clicks with a maximum cost per click bid limit. What's the maximum cost per click bid limit? That basically means that you're telling Google, hey, don't spend across $3, $4, $5, $6 per click, and do not go above that amount. Why do you want to set that up? Because if you know what your maximum cost per click is, like for example, you run a $30 product. If you have $5 cost per click, that's not going to be very profitable for you. You're probably going to have 3 to 5% conversion rate out of all those clicks, and that's not good. So if you know based on the margins of your products and how much per click and conversion rate you need to stay profitable, I highly recommend that you set up maximize clicks with a cost per click bid limit, or even better, set up manual CPC. This you can set up manually on what cost per click you want per specific product, just to make sure that everything is set up individually from the product level, and that way you are getting the most amount of clicks for the least amount of cost and the most amount of profitability. So these are things to start. Now, as you scale, you're going to want to go to target ROAS, so TROAS. Let's say you scale your budget and you start getting 200% ROAS or 2 or 3 or something. Then your campaign has enough data, and you can really tell it to start going for specific types of or specific goals of ROAS. You have 200%, and then you scale 10 to 20%. Keep this in mind, 10 to 20% per week. You're going to want to make sure you're increasing per week, so that way you can get to your goal of, say, 300 or 400. And there's different ways you can go about this. But again, if you're just starting, manual CPC and maximize clicks with a cost per click bid limit is definitely the way to go. Other things that you're going to want to make sure of is make sure that you have your networks, search networks, completely turned off. This is where Google wastes your budget, and search partners is basically a list of partners that are with Google that show display ads and just random bogus nonsense and stuff like that. So you're going to want to make sure that's completely put out of place. Another thing when you're setting up your campaign, make sure it's in presence in people in or regularly in your included locations. If it's an interest, Google is going to think somebody in Russia is going to want to move to your location that you're advertising in, and then it's going to show it to people in Russia, and you're going to be really pissed, and you're going to wonder why you're getting traffic from Russia. So make sure all of those things are completely turned off. So this is the first campaign you're going to want to make sure you're running. Top 10% products, search partners off, presence is people in or regularly in your location, maximize clicks or max CPC, knowing your margins and knowing what conversion rates that you need to succeed. This is the perfect way to start once you start getting a lot of data. So the second campaign that you're going to want to run besides your standard shopping is a search campaign, and this is a prospecting search campaign. So now I have an example over here that's with an e-commerce store that does patio chairs or outdoor furniture. I've run Google Ads for an outdoor furniture company, a huge one in the past, so that's why I'm using this example. But long story short, you have search, you have patio chairs, and you want to run prospecting, right? So a couple things I want to mention. Make sure your networks are search only, uncheck search partners or display. Why is that? I already mentioned this. They just burn through your budget. Now your bid strategy, I wrote maximize conversions over here, but you can start with, for this as well, you can also start with max clicks with a max CPC. Now, this is only after you've run it for like 1 or 2 weeks, you start getting conversions and you know what max CPC, so max cost per click limit, you need in order to get profitable conversions. So this is after some data. Or you can run a manual CPC per keyword. Per keyword. This is if you know what you're doing. You know you've gone through Google Keyword Planner, which is Google's keyword research tool, which I have a video on that as well that I'll link in the description. You can use that to figure out what the average cost per click is. It's not 100% accurate. It's not totally inaccurate, but you can use that manual CPC to find out what the cost per click bid limit is and how much you're actually willing to bid and set that up. So those are a lot of bidding strategies. Highly recommend if you're e-commerce, which you are, just start with max conversions and then set a target CPA, so a target cost per action, to whatever the average is on your conversions, and then slowly decrease that 10 to 20% every week or so. So that way you get to your profitability levels. You're not going to start off very incredibly profitable. If you did, then there would be no purpose for my existence or just anybody's existence within marketing, because we'd all be millionaires. So you won't start incredibly profitable, but once you do start reaching those amount of conversion volume, you decrease that CPA by 10 to 20% per week. So that's where you start. I put daily budget $30 a day, but I highly recommend you go into the couple $100s per day if you can afford that. That is very, very good. Give yourself, it'll give Google Ads the data it needs to really perform well. So in this example, it's Adirondack chairs, same as our standard shopping, right? Now you're going to want to put a mix of exact and phrase match keywords, right? You're going to want to make sure that when you start, they're exact and phrase match. Now you're going to hear people say use broad match, and you can, but you're starting. So you're going to want to make sure those keywords are really, really well put in place. Exact match basically means that you're telling Google, hey, I want to be as close as to this Adirondack chair keyword as possible. You could show up for different variations, but it has to make sure that it matches that specific exact match keyword. Phrase, essentially you're giving Google the benefit of the doubt and saying, hey, spread your wings a little loose there. It can be buy Adirondack chair set, and then it'll show up as Adirondack chair set near me or something like that. So these are things you're going to want to stay very wary for, or stay very very aware for. You can set up different ad groups. I highly recommend that you stick with just one ad group over here. And then if you have different variations of different products, you can do that as well. Now, for the ad group structure, like I said, it's the same as standard shopping. You're going to want to make sure you're doing it for those winning products or those products that have been in a proven, tested environment within your marketing, whether that be Meta, SEO, or anything else. So you can set up, for example, you have over your Adirondack chairs, and then there's general patio chairs if you want to put that in the same ad group. I highly recommend if it's completely different, like their metal reflective super awesome chairs instead of Adirondack, create its own campaign if you have the budget to do that. The reason why I put in the same structure here is based on a lower amount of budget. So you can create different ad groups. Highly recommend you stick with 1 or 2 phrase and exact match keywords. Your ad groups. So you're going to want to make sure that, of course, headlines are very to the point. Don't go crazy. Don't be Mr. Clever. You are not on Meta anymore. You are on Google. This is where you can save your brain power. You can use your brain power for data. For your headlines, very to the point, extremely to the point. You're going to want to make sure shop Adirondack chairs, low maintenance, blah, 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 blah. Different awareness based on where you're targeting your buyer, which is on the lower funnel, because they are already aware of their problem. They just need a solution. So that's what you do. Descriptions, again, very simple, very to the point. And then you're going to want to make sure that your campaign level negative keywords are very set up properly. So these are the very basic things that you want to avoid for free, jobs, cheap, wholesale, do it yourself, because you're not doing it. You don't want DIYers to come in or use your secondhand if you're selling new products, that is. So those are some things that you're going to want to make sure for your search campaign, and you're going to want to run this alongside your standard shopping. With this, you can also run a branded search campaign. Now, if you're a big brand running Meta ads, you already know what I'm talking about. Branded is essentially whoever shows up or whoever Googles your brand, you're going to want to make sure you show up number one. If your SEO is not that good, or it is good, but you want to make sure competitors are not bidding on your search terms, then a branded search campaign is really awesome. So make sure you're doing that. So now that you have your standard shopping and your responsive search ad set up, what do you do to monitor it within the first 7 days and make sure you're profitable? Number one, for both standard shopping and search campaigns, go over here on Insights and Reports and go to your search terms. You'll see a bunch of search terms show up. And if you see bogus keywords, like for example, if you're showing up for Adirondack chairs, but or you want to show up for Adirondack chairs, but you're showing up for tables, then that's not good. You're going to want to put that in your negative keywords. Make sure you're building your negative keywords as heavily as you can within those first 7 days for standard shopping and for your search campaign. For standard shopping, it's very important your Google Merchant Center feed is optimized, because then that will lower down your bogus search term reports by a lot. For your standard search campaigns or your responsive search ads, you're going to want to make sure that your ads have the keyword that you're using in the campaign within the headline and the descriptions. That makes sure that these two KPIs are good. This is something you want to monitor as well. Search impression share, make sure it's as high as possible. Of course, you want to show as much as possible. Search impression share lost by budget, you're going to want to make sure that this right here is as low as possible. This basically is telling you, hey, I have my budget set up, and if it's as low as possible, like if it's 7%, that means you're losing as little as possible based on your budget, meaning your budget's good. Now, search loss impression share by rank, you're going to want to make sure that that is also as low as you can get. So if it's above 50%, like it is in this case, then that's not good. That means that your keywords and then your ad headlines and the landing page as well doesn't have the keyword that your users are searching up for. So make sure those are in your headlines, the search campaign itself, and the landing page itself. So these are things you want to monitor. Now, obvious things is also your conversion rate. Make sure that's above 5%, 3%, and make sure your cost per conversion is going well based on your margins for your product. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is how to scale. Within this first process, you just want to make sure the foundation is set. The next step is making sure that you are profitable and you can scale profitably. And how do you do that? You have campaigns running for 7 days plus. Let's say within the first 2 to 3 weeks, you start getting a good amount of conversions. You start getting within the ROAS level of 150% to 200%, or maybe 2.5 if you're doing really, really good. Now, you're going to want to start scaling those campaigns. How do I get from spending $1,000 a week to $2,000 to $3,000 per week or something like that? Now, here's the first rule. When you start getting up to scale, you start getting conversions, you don't change your bidding strategy whenever or until you start getting at least 20 to 30 conversions per month. Now, this only applies to those of you that are using max CPC or max clicks with a bid limit. If you have those two set up and you start getting 20 to 30 conversions per month, go ahead and switch to max conversions if you're on your search campaign with a target cost per action with the cost per conversion that is profitable for you or the average that is in that search campaign. Now, if you're on standard shopping, which you are, then you can change that max clicks or that max CPC to TROAS. Now, you have the average TROAS within your campaign, set it to exactly that. I know you want to set it to 300-400%. You can't right now, unless you have been actively hitting that for a couple months. Now you have those bidding strategies changed. What do you do next? You increase your targets within your TROAS around 10 to 20% per week when it hits those targets. Why not 20-30%? Because if you go higher than that, if you go up to 40% per week, you give Google too much benefit of the doubt and it starts targeting audiences that are irrelevant to you. Now for your your search campaigns, then you're going to want to make sure those are on your TCPA or TROAS, or you're doing the same thing with TROAS as in standard shopping if you have a lot of products with big margins, or if you have a couple products with similar margins, you can stay within TCPA, increase those, or decrease, those TCPAs by 10 to 20% until you get into your sweet zone of profitability for each of those products that you put or that you advertise within your responsive search ads. You keep doing this over time, and then you also increase your budget by 10 to 20% to stay within that sweet spot as well. Over time, you're going to start slowly seeing that you're getting more sales, you're getting them at a more profitable level, and you're slowly getting more budget and spending more, and your store continues to grow. This is effectively how I scaled this brand over here that I got from 0 to 35K per month. And like I mentioned in the beginning, this brand where I added 70K per month as well. This is a tried and tested strategy. It can really help you scale your brand from spending as small as 5K per month all the way to 50K to even 100K per month. So that's the exact process from zero setup to your first profitable sale with Google Ads. You've got the pre-launch checklist, your campaign structure, how to optimize your feed, how to set up that responsive search ad, and how you can scale. But now you have two options. You can take everything I just walked you through and go set it up yourself and figure out the rest as you go. Or if you'd rather just skip the trial and error, you can just have me and my team manage it all for you. Click the link in the description and we'll set up a free strategy session and audit your store, your Google Ads account, and much, much more to show you how you can go from just barely breaking even or just starting your Google Ads account to us getting you a 3, 4, 5 ROAS and making sure you're profitable within Google Ads and your entire store in general. Either way, you've got the roadmap now. If this helped you, subscribe. I post Google Ads content every single week, and I'll see you in the next one.